Welcome to Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee for October 30th, 2017. My name is Tim Patterson. I am Trade Show Guy Online, and if you are listening via audio and you're on your iTunes or something like that, and you haven't found the blog, it's TradeshowGuyBlog.com. The company website is TradeshowGuyExhibits.com. We do project management for new trade show exhibits, as well as logistics management when clients ask for it. Got a book out called Trade Show Success, 14 Proven Steps to Take Your Trade Show Marketing to the Next Level. And second book is, I'm working on it. What can I say? Hey, this week I'm pleased to share a brief interview I did with Peter Shankman. Peter is an entrepreneur, CEO, and author, public speaker, and world traveler, Lord of the Skies, I'm sure. He's also host of the popular Faster Than Normal podcast. You'll find it on iTunes and other podcast listings, which embraces the concept that having ADD or ADHD is a gift, not a curse. Here's the conversation we had. I'm speaking with Peter Shankman. Peter, thanks for joining me today. So you're called Lord of the Skies, right? So is that
Yeah, it's funny. I've actually been home for about a month or so. I haven't been traveling. It's like I'm starting to get antsy and get the shakes. But yeah,
I know that by the time this comes out, you'll be on the road for like weeks. You're describing your travel itinerary, which is kind of nutty coming up. It sounds like.
Yeah, October through December, I'm pretty much going to be on the road nonstop. But I love it like that.
So I will tell you that I first became aware of you back in the Haro days, and I picked up your first book, which I really loved, Can we do that, which a lot of great ideas. I've read it a couple times, good stuff. And that was 10 years ago, and you've had 4 or 5 books. I know, crazy, huh?
It blows my mind. It's like, it's pretty much like a book every 2.5 years. It's insane.
So, but your new book is a non-business book. Is that right? So Faster Than Normal. How'd that come about?
So I've been ADHD all my life, but growing up, it wasn't called ADHD. Growing up, it was called sit down, you're disrupting the class disease. And what I realized over time was that all the things that used to get me in trouble and that used to get me sent to the principal's office and it used to cost me friendships were actually some of the sources of my best ideas and best successes. And I realized that this faster brain that I have is really just more about a different way of thinking and a different way of learning. And because of that, I'm actually better for having ADHD. And so about 10 years ago or so, I started to realize this and started realizing, this is not a curse. This is actually a gift. I should look at it as such. And that once I realized that sort of changed my life. And so I launched a podcast called Faster Than Normal. It's the #1 ADHD podcast on iTunes. From that, I launched the book, which came out about 3 weeks ago, called Faster Than Normal, and it's been a great ride. It's been a really great ride. I'm very fortunate.
So when and you're talking about adult ADHD or ADD as opposed to kids, because obviously kids can have it and it may settle down. I'm not sure. I don't know much about it.
You don't grow it. You don't outgrow it. It's not like
okay.
Not like a something that you get rid of. No, and that's actually one of the biggest problems is that we tend to medicate our children before trying other skills-based training. And the problem there is that so the kids will stay on their medication until they're 21 or 25 and they're kicked off their parents' insurance and they haven't learned how to deal with the underlying issue. They've just been masking it. So that's something I'm trying to change the discussion on as well. I'm not saying that I'm not anti-medication. I just believe that there are so many other options we should be trying first.
So how do they diagnose it? And there's no test for it as far as there's no blood test like diabetes and that sort of thing. Yeah.
There are psychological tests that you can take. Basically, it's you're looking at the lack of ADHD. Essentially, a lack of the same amount of dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline that normal people make. And so for me, I know that because I don't get enough of those chemicals, I have to find ways to sort of keep myself active, keep myself finding other ways to allow my brain to build those chemicals back up. And so I didn't know this at the time, but all the things that I've been doing for the past 20 or so years have really been designed to give me that. So, I'm a licensed skydiver. I run marathons. I do Ironman triathlons. I love public speaking. All these things that, without realizing it, are fundamentally changing the brain chemistry, the chemistry within my brain, allowing me to have the dopamine and the focus chemicals that I normally don't make enough of.
Because you're getting a juice from doing that, in a sense. You
Exactly.
have to be doing something instead of sitting around watching TV for hours or just lounging and hanging out with friends, which I'm sure you can do, but something it's like distracting. I find myself distracted a lot, but I still can focus when I need to. So
what's nice about it is that when I do a skydive and I land, my brain has fired all of its dopamine. It's made all these chemicals at once. I land on the ground, I'm essentially high, right? Because the chemicals don't just disappear; they have to dissipate over time. And so I'll bring my laptop to the drop zone. I'll do a jump, then I'll sit down. I'll write 10,000 words in an hour. So it's wonderful.
Wow. That's great. So who is the book aimed for? Or is it a broad, is it for parents? Is it for people that have it as adults? I'm just curious what you're trying to
actually, for everyone. It's for parents and kids and adults who have ADHD or who love someone who do or live with someone who do. But the book is really also aimed at anyone in the world, whether they have it or not, who wants to get a few hours of productivity back in their lives. Because the rules that people with ADHD have to set up for themselves to be productive and to work and live at their best ability, those rules, when applied to a normal person, can make a normal person just as super effective and high functioning. One of the rules is simply put, exercise. I have to exercise every morning because that's how I get the chemicals I need for the day. Well, normal people can do the same thing. So how do you get up early to exercise? Well, you give something up the night before. So I might not be going out every night, or I might not watching late night TV or binging on Facebook, but that benefits me. And so the book is made up of a series of rules and ideas and hacks on sort of how I live my life the best way possible that can be applied to any human being.
So let's talk a little bit about the podcast. When did that start, and what's your goal with that? You're interviewing obviously different people that have either had it or are familiar with it. And how long has it been going?
I launched the podcast to explain to people that ADHD is a gift and not a curse, and that having it is not the end of your existence. It's actually the start of a brand new life. And so we've had some tremendous success. We've had Tony Robbins, Seth Godin, Cameron Herold, Scott Jordan, Dave Nealman of JetBlue, Ned Hallowell, the grandfather of ADHD. I mean, really good people on the podcast. We're constantly looking for celebrities and people of that nature to come on. It's interesting because there are a lot of celebrities, CEOs who have it and don't necessarily understand that it is a good thing, and so it's kind of hard to get through to them. They should be talking about this as a key to their success, or their handlers don't understand it. Right? Their PR people. Oh well, why would we want in on that? That sounds terrible. They don't realize that it's actually a good thing. So I'm working on changing that conversation. So
it really sounds kind of like what you're trying to do is change the impression of what it is, because a lot of times my kid, who's 17 now, he was diagnosed, if you want to put it that way, as being ADHD. I never quite agreed with it. I was biased against it, and I was biased against medication. But he could get distracted, and his mom really wanted him to be diagnosed with it, because another story. But so it sounds like you're trying to change the whole impression of what that is and how people view it.
I don't call it diagnosed. I call it being gifted with.
Being gifted with. Different. The terminology is very important there as well.
Well, you get diagnosed with bad things, right? You get diagnosed with cancer. You get diagnosed with a broken arm. You never get diagnosed as a lottery winner. I've never gotten diagnosed as being allowed to date a supermodel, right? So it's like you don't get diagnosed for good things, and I think ADHD is a good thing.
Well, so this has only been around really as far as the term ADHD for what, 20, 30, 40 years? I don't know when it came about.
Been around that long, but if you look all the way back to the 1800s, there were doctors. There's a doctor who wrote a whole book about he called it Peter, which was a story about a fidgety Phil, story about a kid who was just always bouncing all around, and things have been translated into like 70 languages and like 300 different editions.
I like the first thing you said was that, now they call it ADHD. When you were a kid, they called it sit up and, sit down. Yeah, and shut up, Yeah, exactly. So the book is called Faster Than Normal. The podcast is the same. And there goes Peter, Lord of the Skies. Thank you. I appreciate your time, Peter. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Talk soon.
So thanks again to Peter Shankman, author of the new book, Faster Than Normal, for joining me on today's Trade Show Guy Monday Morning Coffee. This week's Trade Show tip is another list from my blog. The list goes something like this: 6 ways to step up your trade show game. What can you do to kind of raise the level, raise the bar just a bit? Number 1, bring your A game. Yeah, it sounds easy to say, but you can do this in 100 different ways. It really means to step up your performance, do better than the last time, stay disciplined and focused so that nothing misses your gaze. In other words, basically it means that you can do better than you have been doing. Have a better sample for a giveaway if you are one of those that gives away things. This can mean anything from working with your promotional products associate to brainstorming a different giveaway to having a premium gift for those who respond to a pre-show marketing mailer. Catch eyeballs. That's number 3. Every booth is looking for eyeballs. So what message is your exhibit saying? Whether you're a giant island or a small 10 by 10, it should still communicate a clear and concise message and do it in a manner that catches eyeballs. Sometimes it's graphics. Sometimes it's a compelling and bold statement or question. Number 4, give visitors something to do. There are discussions to be had regarding the differences between flashy, colorful booths and having something interactive. But if you have something to do, that'll draw a crowd. And finally, number 5, pay attention to your visitors. It's easy to slip into the silent mode by pulling out your phone, to check email or read Facebook or text someone. But if someone passes by, you shouldn't have your phone in your hand. You shouldn't be eating all that stuff. So pay attention to visitors and be ready for them. Put on a smile. The only thing more welcoming to someone than a smile is to greet them with their name. If you don't know the name, look at their badge. Hey, Beverly, how you doing? Nice to see you again. And to finish up, one good thing of the week. Well, this week's one good thing is that I got tickets to the Foo Fighters concert coming up in December here in Oregon. That'll be fun. I think I mentioned on a previous podcast, one good thing was their new album. Never seen the Foos in concert. This will be fun. But I will tell you, with the cost of the ticket, it's a good reason I don't go to too many big concerts. But this will be fun. Now and then you got to do that, right? So that'll be fun. So that's this week's one good thing. So have a great week, and I'll check with you next time.